Picture this, your Power BI dashboards come alive, allowing users to effortlessly filter and explore data with just a click. Imagine transforming static reports into dynamic, interactive experiences that reveal deeper insights and drive smarter decisions. In today's video, we're uncovering the secrets to adding slicers in Power BI, empowering you to create more intuitive, user-friendly dashboards that make data analysis a breeze. Okay guys, so here we have a Power BI report in Power BI Desktop. Okay, this is one that I use on our kind of other YouTube channel, and so Cheeky Crypto here. It's basically all crypto related data. So in here we've pulled in on-chain metrics, on-chain data from Bitcoin and a few other different altcoins. This up here is a slicer. It's pretty basic at the moment, right? And there's lots of different things that we could do differently with slicers. We obviously have the navigation pane, so I'm just going to go ahead and just shrink down our navigation pane just a little bit here, and we're going to talk about adding additional slicers to our report. Okay, so we have this slicer right here. This is basically allowing a user to select different kind of blockchain networks and then see the on-chain metrics, right? But what if we wanted to add a different type of slicer? What if we wanted to allow a user to change maybe the date range in which we are taking a look at this on-chain data? For that, we're going to head on over to the visualization over on the far right hand side, and we're going to be looking for this little icon right here called a slicer. If we give that a click, we're going to end up with this new slicer coming into our chart just here. Okay, so let's go ahead and find our dates from our data over here on the right hand side, and let's assume that we want to change our data based on the year in which we actually have this data for. So if we go ahead and pull data into our field down here, the year into this field area, we can see that we end up with this list of data as to where this on-chain metric or on-chain data comes from, right? So inside our slicer. So we obviously don't necessarily think a kind of linear list like this is overly useful. So we're going to go ahead and head over to the format of the visual. Slicer settings. From here we have a vertical list, but we're going to change it into a drop-down menu because it is going to make it a little bit easier to see. Okay, so now with that in mind, we obviously have a different set of options here. You can allow people to select multiple using the control key. You can select all as an option or make it singular. I'm going to make sure that they can select multiple years, and they can have a select all button as well. Okay, perfect. So if we come over to our drop down menu over here, we can see that we have select all. We have all these years. I can click on 2024, 2023, 2022, and you can see how the data is adjusting in real time with that. Okay, if I only want to have a look at what's happened this year in terms of the price of Bitcoin, for example, we can now see that coming through and being plotted on our chart here. Perfect. Okay, so this is now allowing us to dive down even deeper into our analytical thought processes. You can also see here that we have the all-time high for 2024. We have the all-time high date. We also have the all-time low and when that was, etc. as well. Okay, now this particular slicer isn't affecting those pieces of data, but that's because of how I have it constructed within the background, which is obviously all of the tables right here. I'm not going to be going through that today, but just understand that depending on how your data is structured, you'll have different pieces of data or records from your tables acting slightly differently. Okay, but in terms of adding a slicer, it's quite straightforward, but it doesn't look very appealing. So let's click back into our slicer here, and let's go ahead and do some formatting changes. We're going to go ahead and click on the general side over here, and where we have effects, I'm going to deselect the background. Okay, we don't really want a background on there. We want a transparent background, but we can note here that it hasn't exactly had the desired effect that we're looking for. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the visual, we're going to go down to the values, and then down here we have background, and we are going to turn that background white. There we go, perfect. We also might want to adjust our values. Currently this one is set at the value of 12. However, this slicer right here is set at a slightly different level, right? So we are going to want to change it to 16 to marry up with our Bitcoin slicer. So we'll come back into our slicer right here, and we're going to change this to 16. That's now going to marry up with what we have there as well. We could also make it bold if we wanted to, but I don't really see a need to do so, so I'm going to leave it just like that. So there we go. Okay, now the other thing that we have here is the ability to kind of have a slicer header. Now I'm going to turn that off because it isn't overly useful, and it's kind of straightforward to see that this is for a year rather than anything else. And I'm going to pull that right up there next to the Bitcoin slicer. Okay, so now we can see here that I have my navigations. I can pull them back up. We now have two slicers available to use. We have a Bitcoin, the chain of the Bitcoin network chain, okay, and we have the ability to also go by year. I can go ahead and select all, so we can see all the data, and we can go ahead and change this to something like Cardano if we wanted to, or we could go ahead and change it to Chainlink, change it to Dogecoin, change it to Ethereum, or something else, right? So we have the ability to completely change what chain we are looking at when it comes to the price action of a cryptocurrency. And then of course we can hone in on the different years, right? And we can be really specific about things. We could take a look at just 2024 here for XRP, and we can see that data. This is the power of slicers and how we can use them within our Power BI reports to basically make deeper insights into what is going on when it comes to our data. Now, this is a very quick tutorial just showing you how to add a slicer and how that can dramatically change what you're looking at from your reports. If you want more detailed information about slicers, how to dress them up, or how to connect the data differently, then leave your comments down below and I can have a look at creating more insightful tutorial videos on slicers if that is what you want. If you found this video helpful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why don't you go ahead and subscribe and stay up to date with all the hints and tips that I have here at That Office Guy. And guys, if you haven't done so already, check that video out right there. It's one you probably don't want to miss.